Welcome, everybody. Happy April Fool's Day. This is always a tough day to go online because I don't believe anything that anybody says. Half the YouTubers I watch have all said that they're quitting YouTube, and the other half said that they're doing other random things. Anyways, happy April 1st. As always, if you have anything that you'd like to add to our agenda, please do so. And if you'd like to add your name to the list, also feel free to do so. We'll kick things off with a project update for Recore V2. We've been actively doing a lot of development over the last few weeks. And I guess, Colleen, do you want to talk a little bit more about where we're at with the project?
Sure. So the server work is nearly complete. All the major features in it have been implemented. There's a container image that's ready to download if people want to start playing with it. There's end-to-end tests up and running, so you can start testing out things. We have, as you can see later in the doc, there's a timestamp authority up and running in the staging environment, which is going to be part of what we need for Recore V2, because Recore is no longer going to be providing timestamps. And we're working on like a short document that's going to explain concisely what all the what changes all the clients are going to be needing. So that will be hopefully an easy reference, so we can start getting work on start getting work done on all the client changes. What else? Anything I'm missing, Hayden?
No, I think that was pretty much it. If you'd like to follow along for what is left, we have our project tracker, and right now we are in our alpha milestone. So you'll see there's not too much left. These remaining things are pretty much just to get parity with Recore V1, though I would say even these aren't particularly critical right now. We've got a number of metrics that we've already added, and the event publishers, I think, is a feature that's not used very much right now. So it's pretty much ready to go for testing. So if you'd like to, please go download it. Colleen, did you happen to have a link to the container? Or
I will find it and post it in the notes. One other thing to mention is it's very much pre-alpha, so some of the APIs might change a little. Just be aware of that while you're playing with it.
And I guess I'll also ask here, as you play with it, if you are working or if you're developing a client against it, please do give feedback on the API as well. One of the goals with this project was to greatly simplify the API. And so we're looking for feedback on, did we simplify too much? Is there something that's missing? Are there opportunities for more simplification that you see? So please do take a look. Awesome. I don't think we had any updates for Fulcio or Cosine at the moment. I guess I'll mention again from last week. I'll just bubble this up again. That for Cosine, there is now support for uploading attestations as Sigstore bundles as OCI artifacts. We have not yet released a version of Cosine with this feature, so I'll get on that this week. But in the meantime, if you want to play with this, feel free to download Cosine from Head and give it a build and see how it works. Alrighty. For client development, Tanner, did you add this?
I just did, yeah. I wanted to throw a link in there. There's a pretty critical PR on the Sigstore RS front that is wanting to implement the Merkle tree proof, which is a blocker for their V1 cut to be feature complete. And the author of that MR has been looking for a list of changes to get that approved and hasn't received any feedback from the maintainers there.
So I would recommend that we make a post on this on Slack to try to get some more eyes on it. The tricky thing right now with Sigstore RS is it's not well maintained. We're aware of this, and we're looking for more maintainers of it. I think this is a great PR to get started, but it's definitely a hairy PR that obviously requires digging in a bit.
Yeah.
Another place that it might be worth posting, and I can take care of this if you'd like. There's another Slack channel called Transparency Dev. I don't know if you're a part of this, but the folks who authored Trillion went and created another community to focus more on general transparency, not just Trillion. You'll see discussions there on Tessera, which is our new backend for Recore V2 as well. So I can post this there and see if anybody wants to take a look, as they should be able to provide a bit more guidance here. I wish I had more concrete bits here on what we can do. I will say that in general, the TSC, the Sigstore TSC, and maybe Bob can speak to this too, is aware that Sigstore RS is the client that has the least activity right now. It's something I would say in the latter half of the year we would like to get more maintainers and more eyes on it. Obviously, kicking off things like this would be great. I imagine as part of this, there'll be a bit of a refactor of the API as well to look a bit more like some of the other clients in Sigstore. Bob, was there anything more you wanted to add?
Cool. Yeah, that would be great. I mean, it's exciting to hear. I would be happy to echo this in Transparency Dev. I'm on a new machine, so I'll have to figure out my login for that. But I was in there at one point. I can get back in there. On the maintenance front, just out of curiosity, what's the best place, from your opinion, to get familiar with the goals of that project? I've found it relatively obtuse to parse through, like, where we're at, what needs to happen, onboarding, etc. Is there like a great centralized place for the design goals for it, or rather, like, what it's trying to accomplish?
That's a great question. So I guess there's a few things. I'm pointing to this issue first. I would say that this issue is a bit out of date at this point. So overall, the goal should be conforming to the Sigstore client specification by using the Sigstore conformance test suite. I think that is the P0 for this project at this point. And what that means is integrating support for things like inclusion proofs, bundle format. The secondary goal would be revisiting the API. Right now, the API was, to my knowledge, was designed mirroring the cosign API. Whereas now, if you look at the suite of excuse me, Sigstore clients, the cosign API looks the most different. And it's something that we are also modernizing to look more like some of the other clients that where we've learned certain things about how to design the API and whatnot. So I would say, in my opinion, besides implementing support for the Sigstore conformance test suite, I think the main goal of the project at this point should be support for the well-lit path for Sigstore, meaning use an ephemeral key, contact Pulsio, contact Recore, and then verification of the certificate and inclusion proof. And then from there, if the project wants to support private PKI like cosign as well, that's something that would be worth exploring, and maybe a discussion with all of the clients as well to try to have a more uniform API for how we support private PKI. I think with the project right now, I believe, largely supports private PKI because it was kind of designed around cosign V1, which didn't really have much reliance on the infrastructure initially. Overall, it needs a bit of a review and probably an overhaul. So I think it's something where if you have ideas or goals that you have as a user of it, that can definitely help to drive the priorities for the project. Again, I think first goal is get conformance test suite integrated and implement support for the bundle format. I think there's even a PR open. Yeah, there was work that started a while ago. And of course, this is the other issue right now, that we need active maintenance of the project so that we can start getting these features in. Because I don't want these major PRs to just continue sitting, unfortunately.
Totally. Cool. Last question. I don't want to take any more time. Is there a gold standard for API design that you think of all the clients, like, this is the one that we should be inspired from?
I'm going to say Sigstore Python, which inspired Sigstore Go. I'm going to look around the rooms if anybody else wants to chime in as well.
Maybe that was a hot question to ask. I don't want to start any wars, but
I think Sigstore Python, Sigstore JS, and Sigstore Go are probably the three that I would look at. But if you were looking to just one to study and mimic, I'd say Python.
Right.
And I'll also mention that Sigstore Ruby is the most recent implementation. And so Samuel Giddens, who you'll see around the OpenSSF Slack, has a lot of great feedback on what it took to implement a client from scratch as well.
Great, cool. Thank you.
I'll also point to these pros, and I'll leave links to everything I'm saying here as well in the doc. But these protos are sort of what we like the API to look like. So this is, for example, a verification proto that Sigstore Go, I think, is the only one that implemented something close to this. We haven't yet fully standardized this proto, so there's still a little bit of work there. But I would say for the verification side of things, this is roughly what we want to look at. Around signing, that's one area that I think the clients have been talking about doing a bit more standardization. And I'll also mention that there is a client meeting that happens at, 10 a.m. EST. That's on the Sigstore community calendar. That would be another good place to chime in if you're looking for feedback from other clients.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to attend that one. It's 7 a.m. my time, so I think it's the one that I tend to skip. But
yeah,
I'll try to make it sometime soon.
If you'd like to, we have a Sigstore Go meeting, which obviously is more about Go and cosign, but it might be helpful to attend once to kind of see what we're currently thinking about and what would be relevant to adding to Sigstore REST as well. I'm also the West Coast, so I cannot attend the 7 a.m. meeting.
Cool. I'll start going to the Go meetings too. Thank you.
Alrighty. I think that was about it for. Oh, Dimitri.
Yeah, before we leave the cosign, I want to ask, so I wonder if you should clarify what's the cosign attest is for the multi-arch images. So as I mentioned on Slack, there is a -r or the -- recursive flag for cosign attest, but I don't think it does anything, and the help says it refers to sign. So it looks like a leftover for sign. So I would like to clarify what recursive does, or if it doesn't work, then maybe remove this and put something in the documentation regarding the cosign attestation and the multi-arch images.
Did you have an issue about that somewhere? Just to make sure that we follow up on that.
I'll make an issue. I asked on the Slack and didn't get any response, so I wasn't sure if. But yeah, I'll create an issue and reference this to both in Slack. So, yeah, we'll open an issue today.
Awesome, thank you. Alrighty. I think that's it for clients then. For infrastructure, one thing we wanted to highlight that Colleen had just mentioned from before is that in order to support Recore v2, we also needed to stand up a timestamping authority, because with Recore v2, we'll no longer be returning integrated timestamps, and so there needs to be a trusted source of time from somewhere. For GitHub attestations, GitHub stood up a timestamp authority a little while ago. It's the same code that we've stood up here as well. So they've been testing this out for quite a while. This works very well. Most of the Sigstore clients, I believe, if not all at this point, support reading time from a RFC 3161 timestamp, a signed timestamp, instead of from the Recore response. If they don't, this is one of the things that we'll be adding to the Sigstore conformance test suite so that all clients implement support for it as well. But if you want to give it a try, feel free to do so. The same way that for cosign, you point the client to a timestamp authority, you can just use this URL instead. And like I said, this is the server for this is the timestamp authority repo that's in Sigstore. Alrighty. Well, I think that brings us to the end of updates. Was there anything else anyone wanted to discuss? Alrighty. Well, I hope everybody has a good couple weeks. We'll meet again in 2 weeks, and I'll see y'all online.
See you.
Thanks.
Good day. Bye.